What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Dario. This channel is called 5.2 Liter, and as you can see, I have the 2014 Mustang GT right behind me. We are going to be installing a brand new part on this car, and it's going to be from RTR. That's why I'm wearing all the RTR merch. I'm super excited that RTR trusts me with making an install video, getting some really high quality media to them so that they can launch this product, because this is going to be the first car that actually has this part installed. So that's huge. And it's going to be, as you can see, we got some really big parts here, but it's going to be the upper and lower grille from RTR. But you might be wondering, the S197 already had that part from RTR. That's nothing new, but this comes with a little twist. This one will actually have the LEDs that RTR is so known for on the S550 and S650 platform. But RTR themselves have never launched a grille with the LED inlet. It's only from really cheap companies in the aftermarket, and you can probably purchase it on eBay, but there's no way you could get this from RTR so far. So this is a huge launch for them. I'm super excited to be part of it. So without further ado, let's unbox these parts and throw them on the car. As to be expected from RTR, they look like they're high quality. Super excited to see this actually in action. But you get the light right here, and you get some harness that you'll have to connect. I'm not going to unbox this just yet because I just want it to be safe in there. So the install of the LEDs to the grille should be very straightforward. I think it's just 3 or 4 screws with some washers. Very easy. All right, let's get to these huge boxes. It's like Christmas. I love unboxing car parts. It's so rewarding. This looks really freaking good. I mean, if we get a little bit closer. This is some high quality stuff. Super clean. It's the lower valence, but it kind of matches the style of the upper, so I like that a lot too. Let's get the second box. Really making sure this is safe in there. Oh. Let's check this out. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is definitely the upper part. So the current option that is already on the website that had been launched years ago from RTR looks just like this. And now we are adding the LEDs to this. So this is really, really cool to have that option to make the decision for yourself, whether you want the LEDs or you just want to have that black look of the grille. Also, I just personally really love the air inlet holes from this, so the webbing is a little bit different than the stock. I prefer this look. I was going to change to the RTR eventually anyways, but now that I was able to work with RTR, it's even better. And I'm glad that I didn't purchase this yet, because now I get the ones with the LEDs, which is way cooler anyways. So it's a win for me. But now, guys, we come to the most difficult part, the actual install. Honestly speaking, I've never taken the bumper off of this car, so this is going to be the first time. And there's a lot of fixation points on the top end, but there's also some on the bottom. If you have a lift, it's going to be so much easier, but I don't have a lift, so I'm just going to put it on jack stands. So then we're going to loosen a bunch of bolts on the top side, some on the bottom side. There's going to be some in the wheel well. And yeah, then we should be able to take the bumper off, pop off the whole grille assembly on the upper and the lower valence. That should be fairly easy, knocking on wood. And then we just replace it with the RTR grille. Then we have to figure out how the lights are actually assembled into the grille. And then we have to figure out the wiring, because I've never done this. So, a real man doesn't look at installation manuals, but RTR provided one, so I should probably look at it. Honestly, guys, this is why I love RTR. They give you a full booklet to be installing this with a really, really in-depth explanation of what you need to do to install this. Other companies, they'll be like, oh yeah, just check out our link online, and then you'll have to like pull up on your phone, you'll have to be watching a video, and it's just a hassle. And some companies, they don't even provide anything. So you're just left with trying to find a video like this to figure out if you can do that install or what. But RTR provides this whole booklet. It shows all the parts that should be included in the kit, and then also which kind of tools you will need. And you really just need a few sockets, a ratchet, a flathead screwdriver, panel removal tool. That's optional. I mean, you can always pop off clips a different way, but a removal tool helps. And you need a drill and a 3/16 drill bit. So that's all you'll need. I love RTR for this. There's a picture explanation of every little step that you have to take to install this. So first up, we are going to remove 8 of these push clips right here, so we can remove this panel to get access to the bumper screws. Just gonna put these in here so I'm not gonna lose them. Alright, easy as that, trim cover comes off. So next up, we use the 8mm socket to get these 4 bolts in the front off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have these push clips that are actually secured with a Phillips screw. So you'll need a Phillips screwdriver to get those off. Easy as that. So what you do is just get that bolt out. The last one won't come off. We eventually got it out, but it's all shot now. Anyways, I always have extra clips at home, just for this case. Alright, next up, we have to get to these 7mm bolts in the fender, inside fender well. So I'm going to jack up the car so I have better access to this area, but also to get better access to the underside of the car. So let's get up. Alright, so this is the current status of what the car looks like. I just used my jacking rails on the side to jack up the car. I have my jack stands underneath both sides, so I have pretty decent accessibility of the lower bolts, and also I should be able to get to these 3 bolts right here. They're securing the bumper to the fender side, and yeah, easy as that. I'm just gonna take those 3 off. Then we have to take these 1, 2, and 3 off, and then there's some further down there that we have to take off, and then the bumper should just come loose and we should be able to take it off. But this is what it currently looks like from above. I just don't have enough space to get in there to pop off the OEM grill. But as we're looking at it right now, you can see the huge difference of the webbing being way bigger on the OEM grill versus the RTR grill. So this is going to be quite the difference. And before I forget to mention it, we have 3 7mm bolts that we have to take off, and then there's one more Phillips push clip that is a little bit further up in the wheel well that we have to take off. We do this on both sides, and then after that we get underneath the car to get all the bolts from underneath. So now we get to my least favorite part, being 15 7mm screws on the underbody that we have to take off to remove the splash shield. That's always fun. I'm definitely going to be using my creeper. Get underneath there. 15. How much fun. If you ask me, this was quite the pain to take off, especially without a power tool, because on my power tool attachments I only had a 6 and an 8mm, but this, all the screws were 7mm, so absolutely love that. But we got the 15 bolts out, and now we can finally take the bumper off. I'm gonna see if I can do this by myself or if I need my wife to help me real quick, but it should come off fairly easy. This car has a lot of miles on it already, so we'll see how well it works. I'm gonna put this blanket underneath it, so if the bumper comes off a little bit faster than I expected to, it won't scrape on the driveway. But what you'll want to do is obviously read the instructions, make sure you followed every step. Yeah, before we forget it, that's why we have instructions. We have to disconnect the lights. So like these sight markers right here, they have a connection, an electrical connection on the inside. So we want to get underneath there first, disconnect these, and then we can pop the side of the bumper loose. All right, I just noticed that there is another sensor that you'll have to look at. So, first of all, this right here is the sight markers that you want to disconnect. They're on both sides of the bumper, right there. But then I realized that there's this little temp sensor. At least that's what I'm assuming what it is. It's probably a temperature sensor. That sticks right here. And I'm assuming this comes off with the bumper too, so I made sure to disconnect that. So with a little bit of time and some extra lighting, I was able to disconnect the fog lights from underneath the car. That's going to make it so much easier to take the whole bumper off, because now we don't have to fiddle with, you know, the disconnecting the lights as we take the bumper off. So definitely possible. Also, this is one last look of the bumper on the car. I think it looks cool OEM, but you know, with the horse and everything, we're going to delete this. I think it's going to look a lot more aggressive and just cleaner up front without the fog lights and without the horse. All right, hopefully without breaking stuff. Okay, so apparently there's 3 clips on both sides. So I got, I think, 1 or 2 out on this side. Okay. Let's get a better view for you guys. So if I mess up, we have it on camera in 4K. So on the sides we lose. Here seem to be a little stuck. Let me just get the wife before I break shit. Okay. Cool. Right. So this is how it's supposed to look once the bumper is off. That was a little bit of a pain, but it wasn't too bad. Luckily, my wife helped me a little bit. That definitely was necessary. So these are the connectors for the fog lights. You kind of have to just push up on this to disengage them. Those two. And then this is the temp sensor that I was talking off. we definitely had to take this off because there is a bracket for it, and that was right here. And if I didn't take that off, then we would have just pulled on the harness, which is definitely not good. And then next up, we'll obviously replace these parts with the RTR parts, but I will film a little bit of taking these fog lights out and the grills, and then we'll go from there. So the bolts for the fog lights are also 7 millimeters. Luckily, I don't have to switch much here. Everything seems to be 7 millimeters. Easy as that. And maybe I didn't have to take those out. I think I would have gotten away with not taking the lights out because they just bolt into the frame, and I thought I'm just popping this out, but I'm gonna pop the whole frame out. So this is what we want to take off. Not the inner piece, but the outer piece. There we go. So the first piece is out. There we go. Oh my God. All right, I think I got the lower one loose. This was a little bit of a pain because obviously this is at least 10, 11 years. I was like 11 to 12 years now old. So all these clips are super stiff and they either break or they don't want to move. So I broke a lot of them. It's okay. So now we are actually going to take the main part off, which I thought we'd leave it on, but well, this actually came off a lot easier than I expected. RTR is saying take your time with this, but this was easier than I thought. Got all this stuff laying around here, but I think we made it past the 50% mark, so that gives me hope. So next up, you'll want to take the RTR grill, put the lights in there, and then flip this whole assembly around and actually drill some holes right in these areas where these parts are going to mate. And then you can put the screws, the washers, and the nuts through there to fixate the LED lights within the grill. And that will be the next step for us. Alright, so I had a little bit of a tough time to line this up perfectly, so I just decided to mark and kind of pre-punch the holes in the very center of this bottom notch right here. So all these are going to be right there. I'll let you know how it turns out. If it doesn't work out, I'll let you know too. Alright, let's hope this works out. Okay. Now we are going to use these bolts and the washers, and then we're going to counter it with the nuts and actually tighten down the LEDs. Alright, so this is what the first one looks like. I think that's a pretty solid outcome. Alright, so we're done with the grill. We have both of the lights installed now. So the fitment of this is pretty good so far from what I can tell. So now we just have to install the grill back into the bumper. Then we also install the lower grill. And then I think we're ready to throw everything back together. Obviously we have to still connect the wires to the main harness. These actually will go into the connection of the headlights. So I'm assuming they will always be on, not just like the fog lights, because we will not reuse the fog light connection. But I'll definitely keep you updated on this, and we'll see what it looks like. everything is snapped into place. I guess we're gonna take the bumper and put it back onto the car. So there was actually no instructions on what to do with the fog light connection, so I just decided to unplug it from the body, so disconnect all the clips, and then I just kind of laid it right here, kind of pulled a loop on both sides, and that way it's not dangling down somewhere here. And in the end, we're gonna put that cover right here back on there, and that's going to cover all this up, so I don't think it's going to rattle. I don't think it's going to be in the way. Also put a little bit of electrical tape around it, just so in case it does get wet, it's not going to cause any damages. So that's my way of doing it. Let me know if you're going to do it differently, what you think is the best way to do this. So I think we're ready to put the bumper back on to the car. It's going to be sketchy again, but we'll figure it out. I'm probably going to pull these wires up here, so they're in a better position to do the connection after. And then I'll try to not scrape the fenders while putting this back on. All right, so I wasn't aware, but I did have to cut these areas out right here. So this is how I did it. I'm sure there's better instructions. I just couldn't find them in this moment of time. So since you have to basically put these in, you have to have a cutout right there. But the way it comes from Ford is you have these pieces in there, so you have to cut this out of the bumper. And the way that I cut these out was with a little handsaw. Obviously, it's better if you have a power tool, if you have like a Sawzall, or if you have any other kind of tool like a Dremel tool, it would be better, but I think it's gonna do its job. It took a little bit longer with this, obviously, but that's all I had. These are the pieces that came out, so this is how I did it. Let's see if it works. All right, and the moment of truth to see if this is going to snap into place with the way I cut it out. Ooh. There we go. That's perfect. That worked better than I thought. So, just a little handsaw, I guess. All right, real life problems. Microphone just died, or the receiver for it, so hopefully you guys can hear me. I think it already looks pretty sick. I can't wait to hook everything up and make sure that it works. So, let's go check it out. So, now what we want to do is disconnect that headlight connection. Probably the first time this was done in 10 years. No problem though. And now we will want to use the female connector and plug that into the headlight connection. And you should hear a click, just like that. And then the other connector will go back into the headlight. So we're basically piggybacking off of the headlight connection. There we go. All right, so we just finished up reassembling all the front of the car. As you can see, everything's back on there. Everything from the belly pan to the bumper to the cover up here. And it's finally starting to get dark, so now we can finally take the car off the jack stands and turn it on, and hopefully the lights are gonna turn on because I have not checked it yet. So we'll figure it out here in a second. And the car is back on the ground. I'm fairly exhausted. This install is not something you want to try to knock out in an hour or so. It really wasn't difficult. It's just that I like to take my time to put everything back together correctly. So you can tell we had a pretty rough day today, but now I just gotta take off the plastic wrapper right here. That's always satisfying, isn't it? Now it's time for the moment of truth to see if they actually light up. So, yeah, that's a nervous laughter. because if they don't light up, I did all this for nothing. And you guys already know more than I do because I haven't seen it yet. Hell yeah. I'm super excited that they actually turned on because I was sitting in the car, I was getting nervous, and I had no idea if they actually did or not turn on. But let's see what they look like, and dude, I'm pretty excited just by looking in the camera. Wow. I'm honestly really surprised how well they turned out. This looks really, really good. I think it looks so much better than the fog lights. I honestly think also the grille pattern just looks so much better and it fits the car so much better. And I love the openings on the bottom. They match the openings on the top a lot. And obviously we got the LED lights. We can look through there, which is pretty cool. I think the car looks a lot more aggressive from the front, and it definitely does look more up to date. I absolutely love the way that the front looks now. I think just the grille by itself, the upper and the lower part, really upgrade the car. It just cleans up the looks of the car because you get rid of that pony in the middle and you just have this black valence. And then once it gets dark out and you turn your headlights on, these lights will come on, and I think it just looks more aggressive than the OEM fog lights. And also, you know, this just kind of keeps up with the current state of the art with RTR. You always have these kind of lights on the S550 and the S650, so it only makes sense to upgrade to this kind of style. I absolutely love it. It gives me a little bit of piece of RTR. I know they're not for everybody, so I want to hear it from you guys. Do you like this upgrade? Would you eventually just get the upper grille without the lights? I want to hear it in the comment section below. But this concludes the video. I think the install wasn't too bad. It just took a little bit of time and, you know, a little bit of patience to get everything right. But it's really not that bad, and anybody can do this at home. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay loud.